Hello YouTube, this is Red Fox. I wanted to do a short video about the contents of this old August 2010 White Dwarf issue that I bought on eBay. I wanted to buy an issue of the famous White Dwarf magazine because I've never before read or purchased one. When I bought this issue, the current White Dwarf was all about Dreadfleet. And since I have no interest in the Dreadfleet game, I started searching the internet until I found the issue number of a White Dwarf which featured the Chaos Daemons. I've been thinking about the possibility of collecting a Chaos Daemon army for Warhammer Fantasy. Let me tell you briefly what I found inside this issue. The first pages are these awesome pictures of the new releases. Back when this magazine was new, the new releases were Blood Crushers, Seekers of Slaanesh, Pink Horrors, the Changeling, and Kairos Fateweaver, Oracle of Tzeentch. And we've got some Chaos Familiars, Battle Magic cards. The Black Library has a column here that mentions some new novels. Demonic Reinforcements is the title of the first article. Adam Troke writes about the idea that inspired the sculpting of the latest Daemon models. Latest at the time this was published in August 2010. The next article is a fluff article, Infernal Invasion. Two armies are showcased in photos. The armies have fluffy names for each unit. They don't just call them 10 blood letters. The blood letters are named the Dark Swords. Then there's a brief explanation of the history of the unit and why it serves the Bloodthirster commander. This creates a sort of character and depth I haven't seen before. The Power of the Warp is an article on tactics useful to a Daemon army. This article is about Warhammer 40k and not fantasy. Phil Kelly mentions a variety of available units and recommends tactics for each choice. There's a brief one-page, 5-turn battle report on Daemons versus Space Marines. Harbingers of Destruction is another tactics article by Matt Ward. This one is specific to the Warhammer Fantasy Battles game. A 2,000 point army led by Epidemius is listed with photos. The strengths and weaknesses of different units are discussed. Here's the Epidemius army list right here. Heroes of Legend is an article about the War of the Ring war game. This article focuses on the use of heroes: Aragorn, Legolas, Theoden, Amdur, Saruman, Druzhag are all mentioned. The Realms of Chaos article is John Blanche's explanation of how he imagines the home of Daemons. Following this, we have 2 pages of Daemon concept art. Winds of Magic is an interesting article about the 8 lores of magic that exist in the Warhammer world. There's a brief descriptive paragraph and a picture of a wizard for each lore. Then there's a page of fluff about Kairos Fateweaver, Oracle of Tzeentch. This serves as an introduction to the Revenge of the Fate Weaver. This is a Warhammer fantasy scenario with a long, detailed battle report. Here it is. The scenario has a few special rules which are detailed. Both armies are listed with point costs. There are a few paragraphs of fluff to create a story and setting for the battle. Briefly, each player explains his thinking when he makes unit choices. Matt Ward plays a Chaos Daemon army against Matt H's Dark Elves. I read this article and skimmed it again afterwards, and I couldn't find out what the H stands for. Sorry about that. I guess it'll just have to be Matt H. The battle takes place on two tables. There's the main watchtower table, and then there's the road to the watchtower table, which is a separate, smaller table. Once an army is defeated on either of the two tables, then your surviving units move to the table in which the battle is still ongoing. Interesting rules. There is a 6-turn battle report with 2 pages for each turn. Dramatic writing describes the casualties in each turn. There are flashy pictures and troop movement diagrams with captions. Final victory points are 2,245 Daemons versus 2,199 Dark Elves. Dark Elves get plastered during the first 3 turns and then make a surprising comeback. Turn 1, turn 2, turn 3, turn 3 continued, turn 4, turn 5, turn 6. And here, after turn 6, after the battle report, each player writes a few paragraphs about the results of his strategy and his reflections on it. Here's Standard Bearer. This is a neat little 2-page bit on how to create story and background fluff for your own tabletop games. This basically helps you make your everyday games as cool as the Revenge of the Fate Weaver scenario we just read about. Okay, this next article is titled Twisted Landscape. Adam Troke explains the power of chaos often warps and changes the earth itself, so surrounding terrain will have that chaos feel to it. This is a modeling article explaining how to make chaos-themed terrain pieces. They have a skull shrine of chaos here. This is a temple of skulls. Here's an altar of endless malice. This is an eldritch barricade. Here's the blood shrine of corn. Finally, we have the portal of decay here, which is a Nurgle themed terrain piece. Okay, then they take all these pieces and put them together on a game table and take this spectacular 2-page photo of it. Here's the Abbey Metal Masterclass article. This is about how to paint a Daemon Prince. There are 8 pages of super close-up, step-by-step photos. In each step, the artist usually mixes 2 or 3 shades of paint and then puts on a thin coat. Repeatedly, this article advises multiple thin coats of paint instead of a single thick coat. Each area of the model receives between 8 and 6 coats of carefully mixed paint. I have trouble noticing the difference after some of the more subtle coats of paint are added. 8 layers of paint is way more than my patience allows. I guess that's why they call this the master class. I really got no benefit from this article. I guess that it is too advanced for me. I doubt that I would ever paint with the timeless patience they describe. So here's the flesh of the Daemon Prince, the legs, the armor with gold trim, the demonic blade, the wings, the completed model, and this article is focused on color fades, which is kind of creating a smooth transition between different shades of color. And so here they have 4 other models that have been painted with the same color fading technique. The last part of this magazine is a schedule of tournaments and events. Here's the schedule. They have a directory of retail stores that sell Games Workshop products. And the rest is advertisements. Next month's issue, which is September 2010, Island of Blood is advertised in next month. That's the last part of this magazine. That's all for this issue. I hope this video is useful to you. Take care.